now under reclaim. Every idle hauler in the fortress is going to be busy picking something up and hauling it back. And hopefully we can haul some people back. You'll notice I'm starting to retrieve my wounded. The hospital and start getting them some medical attention. And our dwarves are now arriving in the hospital. Our doctors are coming along and taking care of them, diagnosing their wounds, stitching them up. Let's see how bad it actually got here, just for the sake of argument. One diagnosis request from a chopper, one from a smasher, who is apparently pretty badly wounded because his grasp is impaired and he's got motor nerve damage. Let's see. Looks like we've got one guy that's going to have problems walking. The ability to stand has been removed because he can't walk. Another stabber's got wounds that require him to have problems with grasping. I believe we have crutches and everything we'll need to actually see to our dwarves' medical needs here, so let's double check, make sure we have crutches and splints. We're going to need all of those things. You can get by without casts in the current version. Splints work perfectly well. I don't have any gypsum. I have some gypsum powder, but I don't think I've actually made any casts yet, so I think we've got enough to make one cast. Got to turn off all these medical jobs and all the dwarves I don't want doing it. Note that having lots and lots of people set up to do medical jobs by default is not necessarily a bad thing, because you'll make sure that those jobs get done even if, for example, your doctor is the one who gets injured. Alright, should be all our medical professionals doing work now. Except for that guy we lost on the surface, who's probably still laying up there dead. Probably ought to get a coffin ready for him.
You think I can do this?
Mass migration of the entire contents of the elven caravan back into our fortress. Mass migration of all of the goblin artifacts laying around the surface back inside. At this point, we pretty well get everything collected here. I don't want to just leave it on the surface, although I could, simply because it will encourage kobolds to come along and steal all the crap, and kobolds will walk in through the traps and start butchering my dogs, which I don't particularly want.
Did you see what I did with this thing?
And a quick check is in order since we lost people to action. Let's look at squads here for just a second. Any squad with less than 10, by definition, lost one or more of its members. Looks like all of our squads actually have 10 in them still, so we have wounded but no deceased in our militia. The people we lost are other groups, miners, etc., etc.
I can't do it. Another dwarf has got an idea. Best get the dogs out and assign it to him in case he goes mad.
Apparently we had tame river otters arrive. And unfortunately we also had hyenas arrive, but hyenas can't be war trained, so those are out. The river otters can go get bent. We have a male tiger, but no female yet. Say it with me now, guys. War tigers. Yum. Actually, I'm not going to butcher the river otters. If we get lucky, I'm pretty sure river otters are not grazers, and therefore that's another meat industry that does not entail us butchering our own dogs, but which also does not require grazing.
A dwarf has claimed a workshop.
Oh, he died. But of course, we knew that already. We saw him do it. Contrary to popular wisdom, I don't actually want him to make weapons or armor. I want him to make something I can build. A bed, a
Och, the mandate's over.
cage, something I can actually build in place, because then people get the chance to admire it. Whereas with an artifact, weapon, or armor, you can either give it to your military or just throw it in the vault. There's not anything else you can do with it. Nobody will admire it unless they're actually wearing it, and then only one guy will admire it. Artifact weapons and armor are more effective than even masterworks, but not so much so that that they are just arbitrarily better. For example, if you get a weapon or an artifact made out of a material that's not particularly good, so for example hypothetically a leather sword, for example, you probably don't want to give it to anybody. You probably just want to throw it in the vault, because although it's an artifact, its utility as a weapon is greatly reduced by its material, and at that point the fact that it's an artifact is secondary to the fact that it sucks. A silver hammer would be awesome. A silver hammer, I don't think we have any silver, but if we did, a silver hammer would be fantastic and would be immediately given to the best of my hammer using military dwarves on the spot. Even better would be something like a platinum hammer. I know we have platinum bars. Normally you can't get a platinum hammer, but a platinum hammer can be produced through a mood, and platinum is even better for weapons or for hammers than silver. Whatever it is, they're making it out of iron. Iron is the first ingredient. They're also going to make something with gems, some leather, turquoises, bone, quartzes. So probably something I can put on him. Let's see what skill this guy is, depending on what his. Awesome! I have a chain now. Actually, you might think that's bad because you can't directly build a chain, but you can in fact include it in a well or a traction bench. And so because wells use chains to pull the bucket up. So I could take this well, for example, up here and deconstruct it and build it out of a well, or build the chain into the well, and thereby get around the fact that it's not particularly useful on its own. And at 46,800 dwarf bucks, that's a hell of a chain. The artwork relates to the mortal wounding of the dwarf Sibrek Hamalash in our particular fortress. Oh, I forgot the chain. Yeah, you can build chains as restraints. That's true. So, let's do that. Build it right there, front and center, where everybody in the fortress gets a chance to see it. And as with the hatch, people will admire it all day long. Moods will go through the roof. Nice. Basically, every dwarf that comes up the stairs is going to get a chance to see one or both artifacts along the way. If we get a second one, I'll build it on the north side. A third or fourth one, I'll build it on the east and the west sides. And basically, anybody that passes the stairs, because they all have to pass that set of stairs to get to the booze. So everybody in the fortress passes those artifacts on the way in, and the way out. So pretty much everybody's going to get admired a hatch, admired a chain, and it's going to be an artifact level happy thought. Dined in a very good bedroom, or dined in a legendary dining room, admired a table, very good bedroom, admired their own bed. See, this person's happy just off the bed in the dining room alone. I don't have anything fancy to make it nice. I don't have, gold statues in the hallways, and at least not yet. And we now have our bedrooms already laid out for everybody. I haven't messed with the quick fort mode, but theoretically that would allow you to take a macro and execute quick fort to build furniture. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I haven't toyed with it. Okay, let's check to make sure our cavern, as somebody reminded me in our stream, we promised a cavern checkpoint today. We haven't got that part done yet. Let's get to it. I believe that is the lever that was connected to our main bridge. We got to verify that down in the basement before we are ready to open it up. Yep, that sealed up our area there. Cool. Right here, our bridge is now closed, so that means we can send a miner down to open this up. I believe the burrow is still on at this point, so nobody should be going out. Or no, we relaxed the burrow, didn't we? Because we've got all this stuff to retrieve. Well, let's get to it. I think I have auto webs jobs turned off. This is one of those things that I have to always check to make sure is off. Auto webs I want off. If I want somebody collecting webs, I'll do it manually. I don't want people just rushing into the caverns unless I'm prepared for it. Our miners will punch the hole, and at that point the Forgotten Beast can theoretically get into the fortress. I am not stationing my military in the first room. That's intended so that when he comes through the doors, they will attack him as a group rather than filtering in one at a time. Effectively, he'll be swarmed by them as soon as he comes through the doors. I see something moving. An elk bird, which probably won't actually wander into our fortress, but there it is. I know there's a forgotten beast out there somewhere. Alright, so far so good. No problems have come rushing in. Excellent. Here, beastie, beastie, beastie. Okay, apparently he's either gone and gotten himself killed in one of the cavern levels somewhere, or he just doesn't want to play at the moment. So, we're going to release our military, pull the lever, and get them all nice and fed up and trained, and then come back to do a station and rebuild. Basically, this section of cavern that's where we're emerging here, I'm going to wall up above the water there, and then wall off this section down into part of this section as well, so we get a fairly sizable cavern chunk basically dealt with. First, though, I'm going to have to deal with these trees. Because caverns grow a lot of them. We have a fair number of haulers, what, 30 or 40 at least, right, still? We also have a migration wave coming. I want to get the migrants being able to cut trees en masse. Some of our dwarves have creeped down into the fine level, so, you know, another nasty spasm would be a bad thing at this point. Still don't have that forgotten beast on our list, do we? One dwarf lost to that, and we lost the other one earlier to wildfire, of course, but that didn't leave a corpse. Oh, we get to experiment on my living fortress with an untested DF hack command. That'll work.
When I'm holding this, I feel unstoppable.
Okay, yeah, we're going to experiment with that today. I'm guessing it probably doesn't handle give-take, but we could get lucky. The problem is that give-take is probably going to require that all the other stockpiles be altered, but we'll see. My guess is this is just for... Oh, that's cute. Notice that it... okay. That's okay. We can make that work. Temporarily put a copy of that stockpile there. Notice that it does not, while it does have all the appropriate stuff set, it does not handle the take-give settings. Yeah, it doesn't do the links, it just handles the items. think that's everything. Of course, I'll find out later. I'm not pulling something in like I should. One more wave of turkey eggs at most. I think I have a bunch of gobblers we're probably going to have to deal with too. Let's take a look. Nope, just a massive supply of turkey hens sitting in cages at this point. So not only do I have enough turkey hens to populate every nest box in my fortress, I also have a vast supply of turkey hens sitting in cages that can be released. Turkey explosion. Yeah, the advantage to copy stock, of course, is that it would have taken me a lot longer to figure out exactly how to move all that stuff from stockpile to stockpile, and copy stock can let me do it in a matter of moments. So, you know, a little bit awesome there. It also does not handle the from links only problem, so we got to make sure we set that too. Now that I'm remembering, because we have this stockpile set only to pull from the places we designate. And at this point, our milling area should have all of its levers linked up for the fill area. If this is working correctly, we should get the floodgates into the same state, whether that be opened or closed. Okay, and with another pull, we should get them both open, and should know we're okay. Keep in mind, you won't pull the fill gate very often, just once in a while to make it work. And now that we know that it's correctly filling, or correctly open, we can send our miners out to do the opening of the gate here, opening of the water.
Ugh, no way.
See, now all I need in a DF hack plugins in a way. Ooh, I know what I forgot to do. That's gotta go. Okay, we need screw trap components and pipe sections. We have the blocks necessary for our screw pumps. We need 3 screw pumps, and it's easiest to build that stuff out of wood if we have it. I don't know that we actually have any wood left now that we've made all those beds, but it looks like we're doing okay there. Good, good. Let's go ahead and get some screw trap components and pipe sections built. And now we've got to get a whole bunch of people um, set on masonry duty. We've got more than enough blocks and other stuff, built. Now it's just a matter of getting all these folks set to do something useful, which is lay blocks en masse. We don't get any masonry skill from building walls, but we do want to make sure that they're not doing the block jobs. I don't want to have more people mooting masonry than I actually need. So we go up to our masonry area, we put everything on suspend, and we get started with the en masse wall building job by suspending anything that's currently running in our masonry shops. And then at that point, everybody and their brother will be down front and center building up walls in our basement. Notice the plummeting FPS as all these dwarves try to figure out how to get down there.
It won't work.
I'm going to try and rotate these folks out so they don't get miserable on me.
No, I can't do it.
Okay. Our dwarves are getting ready to finish the cutting off segments of our wall here. Um, Once they get the wall up and running, we'll have a second floor we've got to deal with because some of these walls have to be 2 levels high or 3 levels high before they will actually seal off an area. Um,
No, I can't do
we
it.
will then be able to control ingress egress to this area of the caverns, effectively rendering it safe at demand. It will effectively become nothing more than an irregularly shaped addition to our fortress. Uh, like I've said before, keep in mind I'm trying to do this in a maximum safety sort of way. So, some of the things I'm doing aren't necessarily the most exciting. They're just effective for reducing dwarven casualties, for example. We had a peasant in a martial trance. Went postal on an elk bird. I think we got one in the cages. Awesome. Okay, guys, I'm going to break off a little early tonight. I've been doing this thing till way, way later than I should have been. We're probably going to run to about 10 minutes from now, so this is a good point for us to stop for this evening. If you guys have any questions, now's a good chance to get them out. Otherwise, at this point, we've started in on boxing in a chunk of the caverns. We've got our archery pillbox built, although it's not manned yet because we haven't finished building the goblin grinder it's supposed to be watching. Our goblin grinder is up and theoretically operational at this point. Um, Although we haven't really put it to the test. We haven't built our backup depot. We haven't connected it to the surface. Um, we started on a milling area, but we haven't actually finished it. Let me go ahead and do that before I cut off for the season. What do you mean build my DF game files and text pack and all that manually? I downloaded a copy of Phoebus that had the texture pack already installed, so I didn't have to screw with that any, because I already, I've played with Lazy Noob Pack in the past, and, I know that I like Phoebus, so there was no need to install the other stuff. So when, hell, what version are we on now? 3411? When 3411 came out, I downloaded a copy of Phoebus with the pre-installed graphics pack. I manually installed Therapist SoundSense and DF Hack. I manually installed the plugins for the building plan workflow, search, etc., that aren't by default in DF Hack. What bug are you running into? You mean the true type bug where it kind of blocks out some of the text? Get chunks of it that are like black in the middle of the text. Yeah, it just hit F12. I think it's F12. Whatever turns off true type, I think it's F12 by default. You just turn off true type and away you go, man. Yeah, well, you can switch back and forth. Not sure if that fixes the problem permanently or not. Personally, being able to see everything was more important to me than, hell, I don't even remember if I've got true type turned on, man. Yeah, I mean, you'll get some annoying things with the text. Like, I mean, if you look carefully here, periods get replaced with the floor texture. These are minor to me. I'm willing to ignore that. My exclamation points have a background to them when the rest of the text doesn't. Sometimes you'll see, items, the tower symbol, or O, the millstone, hill. So some of these symbols have, backgrounds to them where they wouldn't otherwise. But frankly, that's minor compared to the text box problem. I believe the true type thing is an issue in Dwarf Fortress. It's not specific to a graphics pack. It's something that Toady is going to have to code a fix for, so you probably won't see it until version 5. Unfortunately, fixes for bugs are way low on the priority list for Toady. He tends to do a handful of fixes following a release to fix the most major bugs, but a lot of bugs languish for years and years and still haven't been fixed. My guess is the true type bug is probably complex enough and deep enough in the code that it's just not going to be something he'll focus on or spend any effort on. Now, if all this goes according to plan, theoretically, my dwarves will set all this stuff up. Oh, I forgot to build the gear mechanisms. I need to do that. Don't! Severed my own access. That's no good. Well, then we'll fix that. Oh, look, the wagons have bypassed our inaccessible site. Something wildfire. I'm actually not sure what's blocking the... Let's see where we can find... You can use the depot command, Shift D, to figure out where your depot has become inaccessible. And this... Oh, I forgot I built the traps. That's normal. Never mind. Don't! The wildfire has begun again and will now burn across the map and probably kill the human merchants in the process. Okay, so fixing our access problem for our wells. I forgot to build the. In this case, you have to build the gear mechanisms or axles first because of the way I've got this set up. But that's okay. I'll just dig myself a couple of quick channels in here, and we'll do this the right way. Notice that the floodgates close and then immediately seal off. So at this point, our reactors are self-contained. They are completely full of water, 7 of 7 on all tiles, completely full, ready to go. We need to get them linked up properly, but other than that, we're in good shape. Yeah, I mean, this is like, what, our 6th or 8th one? I still haven't walled off the volcano, which technically, if I'm playing in the most sensible fashion, I should. But frankly, if any dwarves go wandering out on the surface and get vaporized by wildfire, I think I'll just ignore it. They'll turn up missing, eventually. Yes, they are drawing from the right side, which is covered by the hatch. Those hatches are actually the mechanism by which our cutoff valves work. The red lever there that's currently in the off position, and I think we've already linked them up, so I think we're in good shape there, will open and close those hatches. And so the goal here is I will manually start the pumps and release them, basically, and they'll just start running, and they'll run on their own. Um, I will need to make sure that I leave myself as a dwarf an access path back out, because once the hatches are open, we won't have one, so I need to excavate a little bit more than I have. I believe they are linking up the last lever now. So what should happen when this is all up and running, and we'll get it cut off with doors so we don't get flooding back into our main areas any more than we absolutely have to. The hatches will be open when we're in operation. The point of the hatches is to be able to shut all of the water reactors down with a flip of a lever. So one lever, bang, all the water reactors shut off. But when the hatches are open and the lever is flipped the other direction, and the pumps are started, the pumps will pump from the right to the left. The water will land on the tile between the water wheels. So it'll land here, here, or here. It will split and go north and south, and then it will flow back to the empty space behind the pump. As it flows... Oh, look, a siege. And this time we have a couple of squads. Looks like 3 squads this time, including an elite crossbowman and 2 sword masters who we do not want to cross weapons with. Our militia will get diced. So, let's see. We will... Oh, the human merchants are on the map too. Yay. Well, on the plus side, that's additional guards. Yay! On the downside, that means we have to figure out how to deal with the siege. So, let's see what they do with our not nearly enough cage traps to devour the entire siege problem here. I think we'll try and split them up. Oh, and trolls! Oh, lovely. And this is why wildfires are cool. Okay, so our first squad is en route. Now what we'll do is we'll wait for the first squad to cross into the cage traps, like idiots, pull the outer bridge, clean out the cages, reload them, open the outer bridge, and away we go. We can devour an entire siege in pieces this way. Notice that with the inner bridge up, the advance of the other goblins is much slower. They will eventually figure out where the dogs are, and they'll come and kill those 2 dogs. But at that point, they're inside the cage trap zone, and I can basically leave them in there as well. Yeah, you're the second or third person that suggested using the wildfires as a defense mechanism. The only problem I see with it is it takes a long time to reload, because you effectively have to wait for the grass to regrow between firings. It's not necessarily an impossible feat. We can theoretically use pumped magma, for example, to get the job done. I was thinking more along the lines of self-pressurized magma landmines for the trolls. Okay, and once that squad starts to cross the bridge and gets some of their members into... That's good enough. We'll pull the lever. Someone will come along, they flip the lever, the gates close, all the goblins on the bridge get flung. or crushed. Thereby eliminating some number of them, flinging the others to the ground, potentially injuring them. Any of the goblins that survive now have to deal with the cage traps and their wounds. The trolls are locked out. We can't do this with trolls. We can't bridge smash trolls, unfortunately, but we can bait the goblins in effectively a little further, and then once they're dealt with, we can we can clean the cage traps out and get ready for the next wave effectively. Oh, yawn, we lost another mouth.
No. I said no.
Oh, those are the archers, aren't they? One thing you need to make sure of whenever you fight on caged traps is that you verify that you have no dwarf cages when you are finished. So, for example, I need to search through dwarf, for example, because if any of your dwarves fall over on a trap, they'll trigger it, and they can fall over on a cage trap and become caged, at which point they will stay in the cage till they starve to death, and you don't want that. Okay, this will get the cage traps cleaned out, at which point the remaining troll, we can lower the bridge, the trolls will rush in, they'll get cage trapped, we can clean them out if necessary. We can repeat this process indefinitely until we either run out of cages, which we won't because we've got more than enough copper and iron down there to deal with that, or until we get tired of trapping them in bits. Now, ideally, you want a fairly automated solution, so ideally you want more traps than what I have here to deal with a siege. If we had, for example, 6 groups of goblins, we would have to spend a lot of time splitting them up. And as it is, we're already going to spend more than we need to because the merchants are going to need to leave soon. And, well, yeah, we're going to have to lower the gate and let them out. So we need to get the traps reloaded as soon as possible so we can get the trolls in and the other squad either started or eliminated because they'll retreat here if we can get enough of them dealt with. kind of a race against time at this point. I do not want to keep these humans around any longer than I have to, but if I let them out, I'm going to end up at war with both the elves and the humans, because the last two caravans to come in have been butchered. Maybe not this time, but eventually they're going to get unhappy about the fact that their merchants keep returning in pieces. I wish the search had a quality feature on it. I'm going to have to suggest that to the guy doing the plugin. Menaces with spikes of superior quality, sure. So, for example, some of these have higher quality gems settings, and some of them have. So, for example, this is a nice drum with high quality gem settings on top of that, so it gets even more valuable based on that. When you start doing value adds to your items that you're trying to offer for sale, you can remarkably increase their quality that way. Any questions or comments you'd like to make, Starblazer? Well, in my defense, they're also the slowest. We're up to, what, 16, 18 hours of footage that's, somebody would have to watch to see it all. We've covered a little bit. We've started walling off sections of the caverns for our own use. We started digging out the underground below the goblin grinder so that it's actually a pit and not just a couple of ramps in a hole. Yeah, if I thought it could actually get me a job, I might do something with it. But since I'm already employed, I'm not really sure I want my employer to know that I spend my time playing Dwarf Fortress. It's one of those things where even the people at work I know who know that I play Dwarf Fortress, most of them haven't even dared to dig into it. They kind of look at it and go, "Yeah, I'm gonna get back to you on that one." Their loss. Gonna have to sell some more stuff here. We're not getting to where we need to be in terms of goodies. And presto, we got some trading done. One of the useful things you can make or you can make for trade, we haven't done it yet, but I'm going to see if I can't get them to bring me some of them to the depot, is roasts. Every time you... nope, they're all in barrels. Just for grins and giggles, let's see what a few roast pots will sell for. Yeah, that ain't a good sign. So to give you an idea, this is just nothing but prepared food, and I'm selling each one of these pots for about 3 grand. I can generate with a handful of these pots, and the pots themselves are basically nothing in terms of the cost. So the vast majority of this, maybe 100 or 200 of it is the pot. The rest is purely just the value of the food in the pot. How do you make a bronze pouch? Never mind, don't answer. The question is asked, what do I do about vermin in my stockpiles because I don't use cats in Dwarf Fortress? And the answer is, I ignore them. No, really. I ignore them. If you're putting your stuff in barrels, it's not even an issue. The way vermin work in the current version, not to say that it won't change down the road, is that if I turn around and I say, okay, I've got vermin, there's a random roll every time a vermin lands on food, that the food will become rotted, basically degraded by the presence of the vermin. It doesn't happen every time. It's something like the roll is something like 4 in 6 or 5 in 6 or something like that. I don't quote me on whether or not it happens a given time. But that drops to something like 1 in 10 if that same food is in a barrel. And, all of my food's in barrels. All of my finished food is in barrels, I should say. So, the fact that an occasional piece of food might be reduced in value by the presence of roaches when I have 10,000 units of food, it's just not material at that point. If you're looking to, if you're one of those semi-obsessive guys who really wants to make sure that everything is of the highest quality, then yeah, that matters. But otherwise, not so much. What I would say is if you are going to employ cats, and there's no reason why you necessarily shouldn't, as long as you're prepared to deal with the consequences, that you butcher all female cats and use only male cats for your vermin hunting. This will allow you to keep your population under control. You can use Auto Butcher in DF Hack to monitor and eliminate excess females. I would highly, highly recommend you do so if you plan to employ cats in order to prevent the situation where there are lots and lots of cats and you can't butcher any of them because pets. If cats did not adopt dwarves, I would be all over using cats as both food source and vermin hunters. But the fact that you can't control their being adopted as pets basically just nails a great big hole in the middle of, what I would want to use them for. It's a big problem. And I really wish someone would come along and pick up that guy who's wounded right there, because I don't want to leave him there. It looks like at this point our cage traps are reloaded. Let's get the lever pulled. And it looks like the trolls are breaking and running. Not sure yet about the other squad. Let's go ahead and get our militia in place. Looks like the sword or the spearmen have decided to flee as well. So at that point, the siege is effectively broken. When they start running, when they start fleeing off the map, the siege is over. It hasn't announced it yet because they haven't all left the map, but it's done. Dwarves may get an unhappy thought for eating something that wasn't pleasant. If they eat, damaged food, but it's an unhappy thought. It's not going to poison your dwarves or get them sick from disease, cause disease. At least not the current version. No promises down the road, guys. So you really don't have to worry about it unless you're just worried about a combination of value and or dwarven happiness. But like you've seen here, you've been watching my dwarf, my happiness rating has continually moved up and up and up until, fully half of our dwarves are now in this range. So it would take a fairly major set of thoughts to move them out. Now, these folks who had bad things happen are a little lower. Friends of people who've had bad things happen to them are a little lower. But we're going to get to the point here before much longer where we can pretty much take whatever steps we want to deal with happiness. A couple of folks haven't fled off the map yet, but the rest of them have been broken at this point. The humans can leave. I don't have to worry about them being butchered, for example. They've got like 3 or 4 guards. There's only 2 invaders left on the map, so, I don't know if they're moving up here north or if they're just stuck somewhere. But either way, the humans will leave safely. We're in good shape there. Our cage traps are going to get emptied, and then we can go back to whatever it was we were doing before this. I've quite forgotten at this point. Oh, look, our guys decided they wanted to go back outside again. I'm not sure why, because everybody's still under burrow restrictions. And so now that dude's going to chase a miner, and he's going to end up with a hole in his face. Yeah, really not sure why he's outside.
I can't do it.
But apparently he's really fast because that goblin is having absolutely no luck catching him. See, unfortunately, it will not stop the guys from getting outside. So here's an example where our miner has decided, hey, I want to go across the bridge. And once he's across the bridge, he's outside the fort. Yes, I do in fact have the burrow on. Just checking. Alright, as hilarious as the Keystone Cops moment is here,
I can't do it.
and with the last actual member of the siege eliminated, it's completely over. Whether they're caged, or they leave the map, or they're killed, it doesn't matter. As long as all of the members of the siege are dealt with, your siege ends. Still not sure why everybody... Did I leave the... Nope. Mission job's over, so they should be going back. Okay, guys, it's 10 o'clock. I've run 3 hours into this already tonight, and I'm not really planning to be up till midnight again tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get rid or mark these ramps for removal so I don't forget about them, and then go on my merry way for this evening. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to get them asked. Otherwise, you can put them out there on the Reddit thread, and I'll address them later. I know some folks have had their questions answered after the fact. If there's anything you want to see that we haven't covered, let's take a look back at our notes here and see what we haven't covered yet and what we started to cover. We did value adds, gems and studs and so forth. We have started on but haven't finished the cavern connections. I'm going to leave the archer pillbox because we haven't finished setting that up yet, but the cavern connections part should be fairly standard, fairly self-explanatory at this point, since we've started walling up the caverns for our own use. We need to get to animal-powered watchtowers. Siege weapons, tree farms, pitting. We still haven't seen that Forgotten Beast. I have no idea where the hell he's at down there. He's probably gotten himself killed by a bunch of animal people down in the cave somewhere. We'll never find him. At this point, you know, I've covered most of the really important things. I'm going to set up some other unusual things like a drowning trap, for example, so that we can mass eliminate an entire siege at one time just by draining the river into a hallway. I'll explain, but I don't know that I'll actually go through the effort of setting up a magma drowning trap effectively, so that you just basically pump magma into a space and the goblin on fire and burn to death. Works just like a drowning trap, only your dwarves have to deal with the magma as a potential danger later, whereas if you do it with water, the elves or the goblins and the trolls all drown, and the water is perfectly safe as soon as you open the doors. That seems like a good place to leave it for this evening. I don't see any other questions on the stream, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out for this evening, guys. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll post another Reddit thread once we're up. For those of you looking to catch the videos on YouTube, I've begun the process of splitting them and uploading them. Someone pointed out to me that I'm an idiot and that Twitch can actually import them directly to YouTube for me, including the splitting them down into bite-sized chunks so that YouTube doesn't choke on trying to get them converted. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get started slowly on the process of getting those videos uploaded to YouTube. For those of you who are reading after the fact, Twitch should still have them for a couple more days yet. I think they keep stuff for about 2 weeks, and our first one was only March 4th, so I'm expecting that they'll have them for a bit longer yet. But if you haven't caught them yet, you're going to have to catch them on YouTube before much longer. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you in our next episode.